Hello world, life's suffering, sadness, anger. I have nowhere to go. No one can help me. I don't know what to do. I want to die. In the depths of despair. I really wanted to live. And then, finally, a ray of light. If Buddha was the first president of the World Unification Government. Hello, everyone. It was about a year before the Great East Japan Earthquake. This is based on a paper published in Tohoku about a year before the Great East Japan Earthquake, which has been called a prediction of the coming national disaster. It was written by a fate researcher who had practiced and studied Buddhism. Speaking of Buddha, he was a man who existed about 2,500 years ago. He's so famous that there's not a person in the world who doesn't know him. He is the son of the king of the Shakyamuni tribe and therefore a politician. Therefore, this time if the Buddha was the first president of a united world government, if the Buddha were alive today, how would he rule this confused world? I would like to think about it from the perspective of, how would Buddha rule this confusing world if he were alive today? Nowadays, Buddhism is regarded as an old-fashioned custom and superstition. However, you may be surprised by the completely new approach to Buddhism. You may be surprised by this completely new approach. Now, I would like to look back on the life of Buddha. I would like to look back on the life of Buddha to find some hints. It was 2,500 years ago. In a castle decorated with beautiful flowers, the young Buddha was living an uneventful life. He must have thought that the world was beautiful and full of life. But one day, when the Buddha stepped out of the gate of the castle, he was shocked to see the old, the sick, and the dead. He was shocked by the harsh reality of the situation and realized that everyone is destined to age, get sick, and die from the time they are born. Finally, he met a monk and decided to become a priest. Today, we tend to think of Buddhism as a ritual to worship the dead, but in primitive Buddhism, it seems to be a little different. Why are we unhappy and how can we be happy? In order to find a solution to his suffering, the Buddha gave up everything and began asceticism. But after 6 years of arduous and painful asceticism, his body became emaciated. He arrived at the conclusion that there was nothing to be gained. He came to the conclusion that he had nothing to gain. Meditating under the Bodhi tree, enlightenment came to the Buddha. What is this enlightenment? It is the answer to the ultimate question, how can we be happy? After his enlightenment, Buddha said, it is difficult for people to understand. Once he decided not to proselytize. In the end, he spent the rest of his life preaching and teaching for the salvation of others. He passed it on to his disciples, and it has been passed on to this day. However, the message has not been handed down in its original form. Let's take a look at some of the fragments of that message. There are many people suffering in the world today. But the nature of suffering has not changed in 2,500 years. People suffering from illness. Those who have lost loved ones, people who are struggling to make ends meet, people who have lost their jobs, all kinds of suffering and social problems. Sickness, accidents, theft, violence, divorce, bullying, ill health, debt, domestic violence. What did Buddha realize and what was he trying to tell us? The sufferings of life are innumerable. It is utterly chaotic. You never know when you will encounter a pitfall. When we look at it through the Buddhist mind's eye, we can see it like this. 1. Ill health, 2. Illness, 3. Death from illness, 1. Property damage, 2. Personal injury, 3. Fatal accident, 1. Marital quarrel, 2. Domestic violence, 3. Murder, 4. Divorce to avoid, 1. Bullying, 2. Violence, 3. Suicide, 4. Avoidance measures, changing schools, not attending school, 1. Financial insecurity, 2. Debt, 3. Suicide, 4. Avoidance measures, legal proceedings. In other words, there is a law of misfortune in life, and it consists of 3 stages plus 4 avoidance. This can be classified into 1. Problems related to human life, 2. Problems related to the human body, 3. Human life issues, 4. Avoidance. It's a universal truth that hasn't changed in 2,500 years. This is equally true of the Buddha's asceticism. 1. He renounced his throne. 2. He undertook arduous and painful ascetic practices. 3. He came to the realization that he was about to die. And 4. He stopped practicing. This is the mechanism of the Buddhist way of avoiding misfortune. First, to save lives, which is the worst-case scenario, let's take evasive action. If there is something around you right now that is trying to harm you, actively evade it. It could be a bully or a violent person, or it could be a railroad track or the roof of a building. It could be a railroad track, the roof of a building, or a cliff. It could be a dangerous drug or weapon. Keep yourself away from such dangerous people, places and things. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You must not be unhappy for the world to be peaceful. If you are full of malice and you are about to do harm to someone, you need to cool down and think about it. You should never use a weapon, or even violence or verbal abuse against anyone. Do not steal from people's homes, or cheat people out of their money. You can't control your mind. Avoid mistakes before you make them. Not to mention those who are caught up in misfortune, the side involved is not happy either. And ask for help. Talk to someone. That is the way to avoid misfortune so that you can be happy. This time, for the first time in history, we have considered the mechanism of the occurrence of misfortune. What if the Buddha were the first president of a united world government? I'm sure he would start by helping the suffering people. If we can understand the mechanism, we can find the solution. In the next episode, I will discuss the mechanism of happiness. If you like this program, please rate it highly. And if you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel. For details, please refer to the overview section. See you next time.
いつかの時代で知らないどこかの地で流れ落つ時の砂の中紡んだ針の音が刻む